All right, right now we're going to talk about some key things that you need to do in Word. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to walk you through some of the things that I saw that students were having difficulty with. Some of these might be very basic for you, so you can just kind of fast forward through them, or if you really don't understand how to do it, then make sure that you watch the whole video. But these are things that you're going to be expected to utilize while in class this semester. One thing to note is that I'm working on Word on a Mac, and so the window might be a little bit different than what you're used to if you work on a PC. And so the idea is that you're going to take this video and you're going to be able to apply it to your own computer. Therefore, the tabs and the buttons are similar, but it might not be an exact match, and hopefully you'll be able to find out what I'm talking about. So the first thing that I asked you to do was to create a table in Word. And so when you do that, all you need to do is go to Insert Table. It's very simple. So when you're here, you're going to Insert Table, and you can tell it how many we want. So let's say that we want 7, and we want, 5 columns, 7 rows. So there we are. It inserts it. Now, if you want to, let's say we want to shade, you're going to highlight this, and then you're going to right click and you go to Borders and Shading. And then within this, you're able to tell us what we want shaded. So do we want color? If we want color, then we're going to do that. If we want a pattern, then we might choose this. So right now we're just going to go clear. We don't want a pattern. We're also going to talk about borders of our table. Now this is a page border, so we actually don't need to add a page border, but I do want to talk about the borders to the chart. So right now I'm going to take out the inside. I just want the outside lines. So right now I'm going to click OK. And there you have it. Now let's say that we wanted to merge these cells together. Let's say I wanted a header. What you would do is you would highlight this. Again, you're going to right click and you're going to push merge cells. Pretty easy. Now I'm going to highlight my whole table, and I'm going to try to get rid of these lines that you see right here. So again, if you right click, you're going to go to Borders and Shading. And then within Borders, you're going to take away the lines that you don't want. So let's just say that we want only a top and bottom line, and we actually want those lines to be thick. So we can decide what type of line we want. And I want this line right here. So there you have it. Oh, but I'm missing the middle line, so I did something wrong. So I forgot to click on the middle line. So we're going to go back, and we're going to add these lines again and see if it fixes it for us. There we go. So that's how I wanted it to look. Great. So that gives you some things about tables. Up here, it gives you different types of tables. So let's say that I wanted a different color. All of that can be toggled through right here. There's, different border styles. You can do some of that here. You have table layout. And so this is going to tell us if we want to do stuff within our table. So make sure that you're using these tabs. Now the other thing that I wanted you to know is how to adjust the width of a column. So right here, I'm adjusting the width of that first column. If I wanted to adjust the whole table, I'm going to go down here and I'm going to adjust the whole table. So that's ways that you can play with the width of columns. If you want one bigger than the other, you just need to manipulate that either on the ruler or down here on the table itself. All right, so now we're going to move on to word count. We want to get readability statistics. So if you highlight what you're trying to do, and that could be the whole paper or just a portion of the table paper, the first thing I'm going to do is go to Tools, and then I'm going to go to, wrong one. I'm going to go to Tools and then Word Count. And so this will give me a basic word count. So it tells me that I'm highlighting 157 words. It's 998 characters with no spaces. But if I want to count the spaces, it's 1,156 characters and there's 16 lines. Okay, well that's all fine and dandy. But right now, what I actually want to do is I want to know what my reading level is. So if I go to spelling and grammar and I have it conduct an entire readability statistic count, then it's going to tell me how many words. Now this is words for the entire paper, characters, paragraphs, sentences, and then down here at the bottom you have a grade level. And so this is 11.4. This means that it's at an 11th grade reading level. This is really important because if you have students that are in the 5th grade, you shouldn't be creating documents for them that are higher than a 5th grade reading level. And being culturally competent teachers, we need to understand that if we have students that are second language learners, then it actually should probably be below that 5th grade reading level in order for everybody to understand. So make sure that you check those things as you're writing assignments, creating tests, etc. All right. Now the next thing that is important to understand is the review in Word. So tracking is something that is really important, tracking changes, and this is going to create markup within your document. So if I wanted to delete something, then I might delete it like this, and it gives you, or it tracks exactly what happens. And then if I want to add something, then it's going to show up in a different color, okay? But what's really good here is that when you're using documents and going back and forth, you want to be able to show what you added or what you took away. And so if you're working with somebody on a document, tracking changes is really important. But also important is how to go through and get rid of these changes, because if you see these lines on the side of the page, you want to be able to get rid of those before you print it or you turn it into your professor. So what you're going to do is, if you like that they deleted it, then you can right click on it and you can accept the change, and it'll accept the deletion that it made. But now if you see that this is still red and there's a line over here, we actually need to accept that change. So we're just going to highlight that and we're going to say accept this change. And then you can see that the line goes away. Those are all really important things that you need to know. You can do your checking speller and grammar. You can check accessibility here. You can add a comment. So let's say that I just want to put a comment here. So I don't really like what you said here. Maybe try this instead. So in that sense, you're able to give notes to other people, but it's not necessarily changing the text. And then if you wanted to delete that same thing, you're just going to go in and you're going to delete the comment. All right, so that was one thing that I wanted to make sure that we knew. Giving margins in your document. Some of you had a hard time with this. So if you go to layout, there's all kinds of different things. Right here is margins. You have normal, but you can also create custom margins. So know that this is how you do it. You can also go up here and you can go to Format, Document. This is how you change between. We can go to margins first, so we can change the margins here, apply it to the whole document. If you have a layout, so let's say that we wanted to change between horizontal or landscape, and so you could toggle there. We'll keep it at landscape for right now. Let's say that we wanted to add line numbers to our text, so we want to have continuous line numbers. Or if you wanted to add borders to your page, so the line numbers, you see that that went there. All of that you can do under Tools. All right. The last thing that we had here is insert a text box. So, you know, there's lots of things that you can insert in Word. Some is word art. So we have media. You can do pictures and movies. You do that through the media. This is also up here, insert pictures, shapes, smart art, charts, tables, movies. You can insert all of that into a Word document, okay? Right now, we're just going to insert a simple text box. And so what we're going to do here is insert, where am I going here? Text box. And we're just going to draw it right here. This allows you to be outside of the outside of the layout of the paper. So if I go back here, insert text box, I want it right here and I want to type in here. The next thing that we're going to talk about is bullets. And I know that sounds silly, but it's really important that we understand how to use bullets. So when you go to use bullets, you can use your home toggle bar, and you'll see some type of a button at the top of your bar where there's different types of bullets that you can insert. And so when you go to insert bullets, you can either have numbers, and if you click down, you can decide what type of bullets you want. Do you want check marks, arrows, circles, etc., etc.? And then you can also do numbers. So if you wanted a numbered list, you would use these type of numbers. And what I see a lot is people, when they want to use things, they manually do it. So I'll type 1 period, and then I'll tab in, and I'll start my sentence, and then we'll do a 2 period, tab in. Well, that's not really the best way to do it. So what you want to do is you want to set your bullet up front. So we're going to use this type of bullet. Actually, let me choose a different one because I have, there we go. And so then if you look at the top of your bar, this is called a ruler, and you can adjust how your bullet is set up. So let's say that I want my bullet all the way to the left-hand side, and then I want a full indent, so I can move where my text starts. And you're going to do that with these two little arrow buttons. Notice that when I move this bottom one, it's going to move it all together. And if I just click on the arrow portion, it's going to move that particular bullet. So that's really important to understand. So then you can type, and when you hit enter, it's going to give another bullet with your text starting at the same spot. So there's no tabs. You can also use these arrows in relation to a paragraph. So let's say that I'm going to start a new paragraph, and we're typing, and I need to indent this first line. Well, instead of tabbing over or doing 2 tabs, the best way to do it is to come over and move this arrow. So I'm going to move it over to the 1-inch margin, and then when I hit tab, it should technically go over. So if I have this here, I actually need to highlight it. And then I hit tab once and it's not working, of course. All right, so then if I want to go ahead and change a bullet, what you're going to do is you're going to highlight this, and I'm going to switch it to numbers. Now, notice here that I have a list. I have a list of numbers, and then I started a new list. Well, let's say that I wanted to continue this list, and it was a mistake to start the numbers over. So what you're going to do here then is you need to edit the bullet. And so when you click on this, you're going to right click on the bullets themselves. So you highlight the bullets, you're going to right click on it. You can restart numbering, you can continue numbering, you can increase or decrease the indent. So we're actually going to continue numbering. So then it'll continue the numbering with the previous list. But let's say I change my mind and I decide that I want to restart it. Then I need to highlight those, and I'm say restart numbering, and it'll go ahead and restart those. Now let's say that I wanted to put my indent further in. What I'm going to do is these buttons up here can make that go in further. So if you do that, it's just going to keep going in, and if you push it back, it's going to keep going out. Just some useful tools. Another really useful tool that not everybody knows how to use is line spacing. And so if I want double space, I just have to highlight my text, and then up here you decide what type of spacing you want. So let's say that I want double spacing. Okay. Now, when I look at this, I realize that this looks pretty far apart, and I'm not really sure why it's so far apart. So as I highlight it, I'm going to go to a little bit more details, and I want line spacing options. Now, sometimes there are spacing in between paragraphs. And a lot of times I'll see students hand in papers where they have these big gaps in between their paragraphs like this. And I'm not sure if they just don't know how to fix it or if they just don't want to fix it. But it's really easy to fix if you see those big gaps and you have it on double space and you're not really sure what's going on. If you go into line spacing options, you put these down to 0 and then it'll be a true double space. So then if you have any space here, you can fix it by deleting that and having the double space, just like that. All right, the last thing that I wanted to go over was was doing superscript and subscript. So a lot of times you might see a square. And so in order to do this, if you highlight your number, you're just going to simply hit the superscript or the subscript, whatever you're trying to do. A lot of times that'll come into handy with references or footnotes, and then you can just click it off. Now, let's say that I have a weird symbol that I need to insert. You're going to go over here to insert and then go all the way down to symbol. And then you can pick the symbol that you want to insert. So if you have to insert change, you just push insert and then close. And if you go back to where your cell is, there we have our change symbol. So symbols are really easy. The other place that you can do it, there's a button over here on the top if you want to have a button. Media is also really easy to insert into Word, and so if you are on the Insert tab, you can insert any type of media. You can insert graphs, just like you can in PowerPoint. You can insert smart art, shapes, pictures, hyperlinks. A lot of times I'll insert comments, so if I'm working with someone, I can insert the comment. All of those things are really helpful to do. So the last thing we need to talk about is how to insert page numbers and headers and footers. These are going to come into use if you have to do APA formatting. And so if you go to your Insert tab, there is a place to insert headers and footers. If you come over here, you have a header, and then you can decide where you want that, what you want that header to look like. So we're just going to do a basic header here. This would be one where you have to do this running header with a title. So this is technology and assessment. And we're going to close that. So then that is going to show up on all of the pages. All right, so we have that there. Now, let's say that I wanted my header different on the first page than I did on the second page. So in order to do that, when you actually are in the header, a new toolbar is going to pop up and you have options. So show document on text, yes, we want it on there. Do you want different for odd and even pages? So you could have a separate title for the odd and even pages. Well, for this one, we want different on first page. So if you go down, you can see that it stayed on the second page, but this one, we need to have capital letters because that's what the directions say in APA. And so we're going to just make that header just like that. And then we can click close. Now let's say that I want to insert page numbers. So I'm going to go to insert and then I'm going to go to page number. And it'll tell you like where do you want to insert it. So we're going to say at the top of the page in the header and we want right alignment. So we want it in this right corner. Now, do we want the number shown on the first page? Let's say that you have a title page. You don't necessarily want a number on a title page. So we're going to say no, we don't want it on the first page, or I'm sorry. No, we don't want it on the first page, so we're going to uncheck that box or make sure that it's not checked. So then if we go down, see it still counts page 1, but it's not going to show the page number. Now let's say that I want to adjust the position of my page number. So when I go to insert page number, right now it's on the top right. I want it in the center on the bottom. And so it will change it. Theoretically, it should change it. Oh, now it added it. So what you then have to do is you come back here and we can delete the page number. There you go. And that is all we needed to cover today. Thank you.